In this video, I'm going to be creating a bootable USB flash drive and then mounting an image to it so that you can boot a machine from the USB and install an operating system from it. So far I have pulled up File Explorer on this D drive, which is a flash drive that I have connected to my computer, and I have this text file here. It's just an empty file for demonstration purposes, because part of what we're going to go through in this video is going to clean the entire drive. So it's really important that anything that you have on your flash drive ahead of time that you need to save, you do so, because part of this is going to actually clean the entire drive, delete everything from it. So make sure that you have any needed files from your flash drive saved to another location before going through this process. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to launch PowerShell. We have to do that as an administrator, so I have PowerShell pinned to my taskbar here, so if I right click and run as administrator, then that will do it. If you don't have PowerShell pinned though, you can just search for it from your search menu and right click run as administrator from here. So now we have PowerShell running as an administrator here, and the first command that we're going to run is diskpart.exe. So if you start typing disk and then P, and then you can use tab to run diskpart.exe. Alright, and now we have indication that Diskpart is running due to this Diskpart prompt here. Diskpart is actually the program that we're going to be using to clean the drive and to format it so that it can become bootable. Now that we're in Diskpart, the first item we're going to run is list disk, and what that's going to do is show us all of the drives that are currently running on this computer. And so we can see this 0 here with 931 gigs, that's my actual local machine. This disk 1, however, is the flash drive that I illustrated at the beginning of the video. It's got 28 gigs. Alright, so we need to keep in mind that disk 1 is the one that we want to clean and format. So the next item is to select disk and then the number that is the actual drive that you want to clean and format. So in my case it's disk 1. In your case you might have more than 2 drives on your machine if you have several USBs plugged in, so just make sure that you select the one that you actually want to clean and format. So we run that. Now it gives us indication that disk 1 is now the selected disk. Now we're going to clean this disk. So this is the important part where I mentioned to make sure that you have any files saved to another location from your flash drive that you're about to clean, because this is going to delete everything from it. Okay, so now we are going to run the clean command, and it lets us know that Diskpart succeeded in cleaning the disk. Alright, next we need to create a partition on this drive, and to do that we are going to run the command create part pre, which means create the primary partition. Okay, and in this case we are making the entire disk the primary partition, so it's only going to have one part, and that's important for the next command. We're going to run select part 1. But there are also other parameters that you can specify whenever you're creating the partition, so that it only takes up a specified amount of space on the drive. In this case we're doing the entire drive though, so there's only going to be one part. Alright, we select part 1, and now we are going to format this partition as NTFS quick. Now, one thing to mention is that if your server platform supports UEFI, which is Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, then you can format the USB flash drive as FAT32 rather than NTFS, like what I'm doing here. To format as FAT32, instead of this FS equals NTFS quick, you would instead type FS equals FAT32 quick, right? But I'm not going to use that option. I'm using NTFS quick. Alright, we run that, and it's giving us an update here about what percentage is completed so far. We're at 0, and now we are at 100%. It lets us know that Diskpart successfully formatted the volume. Alright, and then the last command, we just need to type active so that it can make this partition active, and we get indication that it did so here with this prompt. And now we can exit the Diskpart program. So at this point, we have used Diskpart to clean our flash drive, and we have formatted it as a NTFS. All right, so we are done with this item. Now, next thing we need to do is bring all of the image files over to our flash drive. Okay, so in my downloads folder here, I have a Windows 10 image file here. Okay, so we can see that the type is disk image file. It has an ISO extension, and we are going to click on the file, go to Manage, and then Mount. Now we can copy all of these installation files here that have been mounted. And if you look, it's like as if we put a disk in, so it's recognizing this mounted drive now as DVD drive E, but we really don't have a DVD drive inserted. This is just what the mounted image looks like. So I'm just going to copy all of these installation files and go over to my flash drive, and notice that my flash drive now is empty. We had that test file at the start of the video that I demonstrated that would get removed whenever we cleaned using the Diskpart, and it is now gone. So now that we're here, we're going to paste in the files that I just copied from the mounted drive, and then I'm going to pause this video while this is copying, and then we'll come back right after this is completed. Okay, now the copy has just completed, and we see that we now have all of these installation files located on our USB D drive. And so the last step that you would need to do is just take this USB and connect it to whatever machine you're imaging. And when your machine starts up, you're going to have to access the BIOS. So that's going to be a different process depending on the model and manufacturer of your machine. So you'll need to look that up online. But once you get into the BIOS, then you can change the settings to boot from a USB drive. And you would do that, and then you can access the installation and install the operating system that you have set up on the drive. Now, one last thing that I'll mention just before we end this video is once you're done with having a bootable USB, if you want to convert it back to its original settings to just use it as a regular old flash drive, then you can just access that drive on the file system. I've right-clicked on my D drive here, and there is a format option, and you can do restore device defaults here. And once you click that button, it's going to just ask you if you're sure, and it will restore it to the manufacturer settings of that drive. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching.